Hello, media darling Chick McGee here from the Bob and Tom Show, and you're listening to Eastern Kentucky's premier sports show, The Sports Guys.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome in. It is The Sports Guys, presented by Appalachian Wireless. Andrew Joyce, your host, and thanks so much, Jamie Johnson, admirably filling in last week in the big boy chair and doing a nice job. Want to remind you, we've got a special announcement coming tonight about more Sports Guys. No, we're not multiplying, but the show is, and it's multiplying exponentially. So you'll want to stick around tonight as we make a special announcement about the Sports Guys. But we're right here, and we're doing what we do every week, and that is reviewing last week's high school football. We'll take a look at the week ahead. Also talk some Major League Baseball, the championship series now underway. Some college football, the NFL, only 2 unbeatens remain. And I've got to tell you, they are not the Buccaneers. Also, district soccer tournament action. You want to go big boy and brag about your team, be braggadocious, then you've got to take the whipping when the whippings come.
I'm all right.
And got to say, we are missing Joe Kinzer tonight, the legend of Logan, West Virginia. He is on assignment. He's actually on vacation.
Yeah,
believe that?
Or do you mean missing as in not here, or like we really
miss him.
really miss him?
Well, his spirit's still here. Trust me, I can feel.
Okay.
Yeah. We really miss Joe. He's taking a week off in the middle of one of the busiest sports times of the year. But he did schedule his vacation Sunday through Thursday, so he'll be back to cover football Friday night. So that's how it's done in the world of sports broadcasting. Welcome in, everyone. We're settling in for 2 solid hours of nothing but sports, and we'll begin with opening comments, and we'll travel around the horn, starting with the, I guess, the legend of Valley.
That's right.
You've heard of the legend of Sleepy Hollow, the legend of Shelby Valley, Jeremy Bell.
Well, I feel like I'm in high school again. I'm batting leadoff, so.
Better bring something there. Get on base.
Yeah, well, I'm on, brother. You got to drive me in.
Small strike zone.
I could butt you over if Dusty was here.
They discovered Bigfoot. Did you hear about that last
Really?
week?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm already feeling stupidity here in this chair. I'm going to have to do something about it. This is Joe's seat, so I'm a little off base here.
Okay.
Anyway, Bill Simmons is one of my favorite writers and all that. I'm sure.
What does that have to do with Bigfoot?
Well, I just, that come out because this chair, the spirit of Joe still lives in the seat, and it's coming through me, and that just come out on accident. So I apologize to all the viewers.
It's the
listeners out
chair
there.
of random thoughts.
Exactly. Exactly. That was perfect. I couldn't have summed
The
it up better
chair of
myself.
random thoughts.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my random
Could be
thought.
your chair for good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. No. Let's switch
Ponder
seats.
on that one. Ponder on that one. Bill Simmons.
Yeah, Bill Simmons. He's one of my favorite writers, and I'm sure you guys are aware of Grantland, the site that he's created and stuff. And he likes to look at the story behind the story a lot of times.
Sure.
And watching the baseball playoffs last night, which I've been engaged in, by the way, it's even taken precedent over football, which is unusual for me. And watching the Tigers Red Sox game last night, I think they had a chance to win, but of course I'm going to watch anyway.
Right.
Ortiz hit that home run, and the first thing I noticed was not the home run, was the effort that Torrey Hunter gave.
Absolutely.
When he tried to almost. I mean, you look at the pictures I saw this morning. He was inches from catching the baseball, and I was sitting there thinking this morning, wondering, what if he made that catch? That would be without question the greatest catch in the history of postseason baseball.
You would have seen it thousands
And
of
it would have
times.
been replayed millions of times.
Whoa, better than Willie Mays over the shoulder?
Well, yeah, absolutely. The degree of difficulty in that catch to hang on to the ball, going all out to save a grand slam, and to save the series because they're facing Verlander in Detroit, tonight, or tomorrow night. So I mean, you look at that, and with everything on the line, with the degree of difficulty in that catch that he made to hang on to the ball.
Signature catch.
Legit, I mean, Willie Mays is good. I watched Jim Evans make that catch 2 or 3 times. Am I not right on that?
I have to
Andrew?
agree with you.
I mean,
Willie Mays'
it's
over-the-shoulder
overrated,
catch
guys.
was tremendous for the 1950s, early 60s,
Right.
but in the decade that we're in now with the tremendous athletes that we have, I think it's been outdone dozens of times.
Hey, I agree.
But we're talking about somebody that made the catch and somebody that didn't in modern times.
But
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that was my point.
The
though.
effort was
Mays made the catch.
the effort was
but-
good, and if it had been, yeah.
But I'm just thinking, what would the storylines be this morning if he would have made the catch? You know,
Ifs
and the stories
buts
behind that.
were candies and nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas.
So, and then of course,
If he had made the catch, we would have been talking about a 2-0 lead going home, and we're not.
no. So here we are,
Here
evened
we
up.
are.
So
There
here we
you
go.
go.
But and of course, the other thing in my mind is who the Reds are going to hire for coach, and I'm going to start a thing here. Maybe you guys can agree with me. It's Sabo for hire.
Yeah.
So I like to see Chris
hero.
Sabo in the managerial
Your hero.
seat. My hero. My
Bring the
all-time hero.
goggles back to the
Bring the
dugout.
Rex Specs back.
Yeah.
Yeah, vote for Rex. So
Yeah.
Rex Specs. So anyway.
Seriously, who is your wish? If you're blowing out candles today and making a wish for Reds manager, who would it be?
Well, you know, I said last week Larkin,
Mm-hmm.
but I love Madden. I think Joe Madden is incredible. But I don't know if Larkin will get it. I saw Paul O'Neill's name is thrown out there. That'd be a travesty, but we won't get into
No.
that.
He left Cincinnati in a hurry. He left Cincinnati with a bad taste in the city's mouth.
He sure did.
No,
And
he would not be welcome.
I would hope not. But let's
Of course,
hope
Walt
that's a rumor.
Jocketty's not a Cincinnati guy, so who knows?
Yeah, you know, for Jocketty knows he'll bring back what's his face. But anyway, yeah, I'm with Larkin.
Larkin or Joe Madden?
Right. Well, Joe Madden, it's not going to happen.
Right.
But you
I'm
know,
saying if you're
some
blowing out
realistic-
candles right now,
Oh well,
and
Joe
you're
Madden.
wishing.
Joe Madden did.
Okay.
Joe Madden.
Second choice, Barry Larkin.
Barry Larkin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be
All
Why
right.
just be more fun about it and say, what former Reds player would you want to be Reds manager?
Yes.
I think that's
That'd be good.
what we'd all. I mean, just have a little fun with that.
If I'm blowing out candles, Pete's coming back.
yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
what I was going to say. With Pete Rose.
If I'm blowing out candles, Pete Rose is back in the dugout. I saw him manage his last series before it all came down. And I want him back. I want him back. You talk about reinvigorating the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That would do it. So there you go. So we'll all wait and see. And your Buccaneers are, what's the record?
Oh, they're putrid. They're 0-5.
Yeah.
They're looking at the Johnny Manziel sweepstakes or Bridgewater, who
Yeah.
the heck they're going to draft as quarterback for the umpteenth time. So
You really think Bridgewater is
no.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say.
I would take Mariota at Oregon over him.
All right.
Just because of the strength of
There you
schedule.
go. Jeremy Bell. He is the legend of Shelby Hollow. Jeremy Bell, the headless horseman. Ladies and gentlemen, the Duke of Drift, Jamie Johnson.
Wait, before we get started, I want to here. We good? We
Hang on.
good? We good?
Yeah, we're good this week.
Can we can shake hands on the
We
show?
can shake
right?
hands. Pre-game's different.
Pre-game's okay.
Pre-game's different.
It's post-game.
We'll see what
Post-game?
happens post-game.
Okay.
And we
Post-show.
will. We do plan a post-game handshake.
Can we line up with all the guys on camera and maybe have them walk by us and do a little handshake?
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't get up because we're wired in.
We do have to have it monitored.
Yeah.
Someone has
Al
to-
can do it. He's the oldest guy here.
Someone must supervise.
Somebody's got to supervise this.
Sure.
But we're close to the Pikeville City Police.
Who's responsible?
We could have an officer.
I'm being serious, but can we really do that?
Let's do it.
We'll see what we can do.
See what we can do. I just want to make sure that was clear that we weren't offending anybody.
Right.
As long as it's
Nobody
on tape.
here's a Redskin, right? Can I say the R word on the radio?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
You know, I actually did some.
By the way, I am 136th Indian,
Mm-hmm.
and I have no problem with Redskin.
You know, I sat and took some time on the word Redskin today because
Yes.
I saw where someone had quoted an online dictionary, Webster Dictionary, about the term Redskin and that it was offensive.
Yes.
I got to be curious about it because, you know, sometimes definitions can change over time
Right.
with words.
Uh-huh.
So I found a 2007 dictionary,
Yes.
hard copy dictionary.
Merriam-Webster's.
Actually, it was Webster's College Dictionary.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a
Webster's Collegiate
reputable source.
Mm-hmm. Said that it was offensive.
Really?
1991,
Yes.
Webster's Collegiate Dictionary.
Yes. 16
Says-
years earlier.
Yeah, says offensive.
Yes.
In italics, and then simply put American Indian reference.
Right.
So obviously, this is something that's been going on for a while.
Sure.
But is it Is it our culture that's changed all this time to be that desensitized to this? Because the meaning of the word has not changed in all these years.
Right.
And Bob Costas made his rant last night at an opportune time during halftime of the Cowboys-Redskins game on,
Right.
on NBC. And it was a story that wasn't major headlines today, but because it's Columbus Day, it kind of got a little attention on the national scale
Okay.
from it. And I was just curious about what everybody else thought about it.
What are your
'Cause
thoughts?
I'm on the fence about it, to be honest with you. I'm on the
Okay.
fence. I mean, because it doesn't offend me, but I'm not an Indian.
Okay.
You know, but I tried to find stories today online of people defending it or other Indian tribes, and I
Right.
found some Indians that say it doesn't bother them.
They have bigger problems.
Yeah, bigger problems like water
Like
conservation, land, suicide rates.
Alcoholism.
Yes, those are problems, and I read that from one that said those are problems that need to be talked about.
Yes.
The American Indian has never won a battle in this country.
Right.
Okay, besides
Exactly.
Little Bighorn. Okay, so
The only reason they did that's because Custer had engine trouble.
send your
Oh, my goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen, the email address,
Yeah.
Frosty Davis.
Engine.
Yeah. You take the emails, my friend. They come by the hundreds.
I would just say that in finishing that thought is that there are big,
Please.
like you just said, there are bigger problems to
There
deal
are.
with than worrying about the term Redskin.
Yes.
Even though there have been colleges, Miami of Ohio changed theirs from Redskins to Red Hawks
Right.
several years ago. St. John's, maybe remember they were the what were they?
Red
Men.
Men.
And
Red
now they're
Men.
the Red Storm.
Uh-huh.
You know, what's a Red Storm? I have no
Right.
idea. Other thing, I think Dartmouth University had changed theirs, and
What about the Atlanta Braves?
well, that's interesting. Atlanta Braves,
Kansas City Chiefs.
Chicago Blackhawks, Kansas City Chiefs,
Indians.
and Cleveland Indians were
Yes.
all brought up. And those terms are not deemed derogatory.
Okay. Braves, I can see that. Brave Warriors.
You may remember the
Indian-
Indians
the Chiefs.
logo in the 70s was
Right.
different than it is today.
Yes.
It was changed because they felt that was a derogatory picture.
Right.
So some of those franchises have adjusted. Chiefs is more of a sign of pride,
Sure.
not of anything being derogatory. They
Right.
feel that the word Redskins is derogatory.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm the owner of the Skins, if I'm Snyder, I think it's Dan, is it Dan Snyder?
Right.
Okay. If I'm him, I'm just going ahead and just doing this. I really think so. Just to get the attention off, get the attention off that, get back on football. But it's why stand here and make this argument over and over and over and just have it go on and on and on to be an opportune thing for other people to rant and bash on your team
Right.
when you can just solve it. You're not in this day and age. He's not going to solve it by sticking to his guns here.
Any publicity is good publicity.
I don't know if that's true.
I think it is to some extent. I think, my opinion is, our culture has become too concerned with being politically correct.
Yep.
True.
There are too many groups and persons in our country that are looking for a cause to get behind. A lot of the folks that are against the use of Redskins are not Native Americans.
True.
They have no Native American blood.
True.
They are white people who come from Europe and have no Native American blood, and they're in a fight for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it makes them feel better.
Who knows?
But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I think 5 years it'll be gone. Redskins will no longer exist.
I think it will be gone just because of what's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. I think they will finally do it.
Here's what gets me about that. You know, like Kentucky. How did Kentucky get the nickname Wildcats? Anybody know?
No.
I read it a long time ago.
A newspaper guy was writing an article about a football game and said they fought like Wildcats. Okay, and any time any team or school adopts a mascot, there's a lot of pride involved in that. It's not to demean somebody.
Right.
You know that's the whole. That's,
Well, and that was
That's
the
what I
part
would
and,
think.
and that's
that I
what I don't understand. And most of these people screaming, you know, that's racism or get rid of Redskins. They're not part of the Indian nation or Indian tribe.
Yeah, if you
And-
go to a Redskins game, you sing the song "Hail to the Redskins,"
Yeah.
and it's a sense of pride.
And-
I'm not a
and
Redskins
what's-
fan, but if
what's-
I'm a Redskins fan, I'm not looking at that as a derogatory term.
I'm going to bring it local. I'm going to take
what's
this
wrong
story.
with going to that tribe or whoever's left of that tribe and say, hey, we want to use this as a source of pride. We want to represent you.
Right.
Sure.
You know, and let them take a vote on it. I mean, it's nobody else's business. I mean, if it's offensive to anyone, obviously the Redskins, or if that's a certain tribe, don't know. But I mean,
It's not a tribe.
Well,
It's just
If,
an
but
Indian term.
if you
The
were
Indians, right.
if you were an Indian though, Frost, wouldn't you want to be proud that you have
Sure.
a team name associated with
Right.
your history
I would
and
think
your
that
values
they would like
and
that.
culture?
I mean, and I'm sure Washington or any other team that's used, like the Redmond or anybody, they don't use those as derogatory terms. There's a lot of pride in your school nickname.
I'm going to stir it and bring it a little more local. If I can get the guys on camera to take a look at one of our jerseys, the furthest to the left. If you're going to talk Redskins, what about Rebels and the use of the Rebel flag as a school logo? If we could take a look at that. For those tuned on Pike TV, we're taking a look at the Allen Central Rebels. A lot has been said about the use of the Confederate flag and how offensive it may be. And the Redskins, the same argument. You want to stir things up, let's bring it closer to home.
Okay,
and-
you just changed my mind.
Okay?
But
Well,
see,
and you can-
why give
Because-
into it?
because
It's
you-
not the thing.
because you-
When that happened, I fought against it.
Sure.
I said, just leave this alone. It
Right.
was not meant in any other way to be derogatory
Right.
in any way.
Exactly.
In some way, it was a Prestonsburg lawyer wanted to get out of stir things up, and
Sure.
it was wrong
Right.
at the time.
And that's generally what happens.
And it finally died down.
Right.
Let it go.
Right.
And you had people like Keith Oldman on television calling kids that were at the school the worst person in the world. You know how he would
Right.
dub someone
Sure.
that. You've changed my mind. Dan, don't give in. Strike it. I mean, I
And you
really
could-
wanted
you could
everybody's
keep-
opinion
you
because I'm
could-
like, maybe they should get rid of it.
Well,
It is
you-
offensive. Maybe
okay.
they shouldn't.
Where do you stop?
Let's go
Easter eggs.
Let's go
Warriors.
further. The
Good
Warriors
point.
of Eastridge.
Good point,
And I
Frosty.
look over Jim's shoulder as I sit across from the panel. Pirates.
Yeah.
Are
I mean, where do you stop?
Really? I mean, Pirates. There's a movie out right now, Captain something about
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips. It's a movie about a ship captain who fought off Somali pirates. Yeah.
Buccaneers. Oh,
Do you
God.
want to be associated with that?
But they ain't putting up no fine.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, you can look at this. These are team mascots, folks, and a lot of times they've been established over the years as part of history and tradition. We've got to get over our political correctness. Let's stop worrying about what we're calling a professional football team, who the Cowboys beat up on, by the way, and let's go talk to some of the guys in Oklahoma. How do they feel about being called Cowboys? I would imagine there are a couple that are offended by it.
Okay, well,
I don't know, but we're worried about being too politically correct and not worrying about how the Native Americans in our country are actually treated.
Yeah.
Let's worry more about that. Let's worry more about the debt ceiling. Let's worry more about affordable health care. Let's worry about the folks on Social Security who may not get a check next month because we're going to run out of money on October 17th as a country.
You're getting political. That's part of.
Let's
we don't
throw
do.
out the names. Let's throw out Democrat and Republican. Aren't we all just Americans? Let's get behind America. Let's throw out the Republicans and Democrats. Let's throw them all out and start over.
I agree with that.
Hello.
Start the Redskin Revolution.
We'll call them the Washington Furloughed.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
You know?
You know.
We'll call it the Washington Empty Capitals and throw them all out and start over. Maybe that's what we need to do. But team nicknames, it's gone too far. We're
We
worried
have a flag in the
Yeah, get a
background.
camera on that.
about political correctness, as we do have a flag waving, and it's part of opening.
Glory,
Get rid of that,
glory,
Al. That's racist.
hallelujah.
It's opening comments. We start about Redskins. We talk about Rebels. We talk about Warriors. We talk about Braves, Chiefs, Indians, Pirates.
Okay.
The only ones that are safe are the animal mascots, and God bless the Phelps Hornets.
Yeah.
That's offensive.
It's offensive
I'm
to
allergic
the
to
wasp.
hornets.
It's only offensive to the wasp.
Last thing I will say, just to bring it back home, the only reason I even brought this up,
Right.
is I agree with you. I agree with everybody here. The reason I brought it up was this. politically correct in terms of this post-game handshake discussion.
Yes.
And I hope we get into it later on.
Right, we're going to.
Because
Had a chance to talk with
we
the
just
commissioner.
made the argument of not being politically correct.
Right.
Now let's take that to something I think affected everybody here locally.
It was something that was on schools, coaches, players, parents, communities' minds last week, was the post-game handshake. I had a chance to talk to the commissioner, Julian Tackett, personally about this, and he's taken some backwater about this. It's something that there's been a politically correct stance taken on that we will talk about later on this edition of the Sports Guys. We'll talk about the games as well. Last week's football, this week's football, college football, Major League Baseball. Right now, we continue around the panel. The stinking genius of the Sports Guys, Jim Williamson.
Well, speaking of NASCAR,
How did NASCAR come into that? Speaking of NASCAR, I didn't
I
mention it.
follow it.
I didn't mention it. Oh, the rebels and the
Yeah,
Confederate
there you
flag.
go.
That's how
Politically
NASCAR
correct.
tied in.
not in Talladega, which is where they're heading this weekend.
Right.
Halfway through the chase, and Kansas has a 4-point lead.
Yes.
4 positions. It was an interesting race Saturday night. Hendrick Motorsports held the top 4 spots, 80% of the race, or
Right.
at least 4 of the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Caution comes out 26 to go. Kansas gets in front of Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and then Keselowski comes out of nowhere, passes. A great race
Right.
for the end and no hitting, which Keselowski mentioned after him and Kyle Busch had gotten into it. But and they said, what was it, 6 out of 9, previous 9, the leader at halfway wins.
Right.
4 points. I still think it's Johnson's to lose.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think 4 points is enough?
Well, Matt keeps playing his luck card.
Mm-hmm.
And, he told you his car was horrible all night, but they put him up at 3rd and he hung on. I'm not a Johnson fan, but I just think consistency. You look at where Johnson had to come from and comes up to 4th.
Right.
I just think it's still momentum's in his corner. But we'll see. That's what
There
makes
you
it
go.
fun.
Momentum is like a runaway train.
have to come
That's
with
the
that.
stinking genius with your NASCAR moment.
There you go.
Brad Keselowski takes the checkered at Charlotte, and they're heading to Talladega next. So down to how many races left in the chase?
Here's 5.
5 races left. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the Hall of Famer, Frosty Davis.
Well, first I want to commend you on saying that you had a special announcement about Sports Guys.
Indeed.
Not a signature announcement or
No.
a historic announcement like the SEC came out with.
Right.
About the basketball, SEC basketball tournament going to be in Nashville for the next 87 years. How's that historic if it's in the future?
Yes,
I'm still
exactly.
struggling
It's
with
only
that.
special.
But, in Kentucky, of course, the Kentucky football opened this week, and in basketball getting ready to start up the Midnight Madness and practice. So all Matt Jones and the rest of the people that want to keep Kentucky football in the cellar are going to talk about from this point on is
basketball, yeah.
because we're a basketball state.
Yeah, we're going to talk about recruiting 3 years down the road.
Sure. Did you know, since we're such a basketball state, the all-time winningest high school football programs in the United States?
Yes.
In the top 10. Would you think Kentucky would have any in the top 10?
Possibly a couple.
How about 3
Yeah,
in the top 10?
yeah. I probably can name a couple.
Go ahead.
Louisville Male, Ashland Blazer.
Male, one of them. Highlands, of course.
Right.
Highlands is actually second.
Blazer
Male's
is very
third.
close.
And then Mayfield, Kentucky, they're
Okay.
6th. That's all the schools in high schools.
How
in
many
the
wins?
country.
Do we have that?
Sure. Highlands. Well, leading is Valdosta, Georgia.
Right.
That's
yeah.
a football factory.
Hotbed where they love
800
boiled peanuts.
869 wins, and then Highlands is second with 828. Mill has 815. So
that was a poll of the winningest.
the winningest high school football
believe
programs through
I-
To the
2012.
end of the year.
And do you have the number 10 team?
Hampton, Virginia.
How many wins?
777.
I believe Ashland Blazers in that top 10 because I believe Ashland, the Tomcats, have over 800 wins.
Oh, do they? Well,
We can look it up.
Yeah, so we'll
can
check
find
on that.
out.
But historically, some of the best teams in the nation, the winningest teams in the nation, come from Kentucky. Mayo,
Right.
Highlands, Mayfield, and we're going to throw Ashland in the mix because I believe their win total is very
Okay,
good.
now let me
Gotta-
ask you
gotta be
this
a-
question. Let me play devil's advocate.
Sure.
How many players have come from those schools that went on to make a major impact at the next level of college or the ultimate level of the NFL.
Highlands and Males, but I'm sure Male probably more than Highlands. I mean, I don't have that in front of me. I didn't,
Right.
You know.
I'm just saying, my argument would be why they're in there would be because those schools and teams predominantly beat up on their competition over and over and over. We even see it on a local level.
Right.
Pikeville's going to win their district. They've won up 10 in a row in district play. It happens every year.
Right.
That adds up in wins. So it's good to see the consistency of those programs and how they're doing, but I would wonder how many good product that gets out of those schools as compared to Valdosta or other ones.
Well, what about Massillon, Ohio? That's fourth, and they play a pretty tough schedule every
yeah,
year.
but-
So I mean, I think it's kind of
You see what I'm
regional
saying,
too.
though?
You know, down in Valdosta, you know, that's not the only really good football program down there. You've
Sure.
got a bunch. Lowndes County
Right.
comes to mind.
I'm going to say the crop of talent is better in Ohio and Georgia than it is in Kentucky.
Right. Well, you know, it's a numbers thing, obviously, and that's a whole different argument. I just wanted to point that out since we're living in such a basketball state. In
That
the
part,
top 50,
I give
there's
you.
8 Kentucky teams in the top 50 in
Wow.
the country, all-time winning as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like numbers.
Stay tuned.
We like Stay talking tuned. about Coming numbers. up a little later in the show, a special announcement regarding the Sports Guys you do not want to miss. Now in our 12th season of the Sports Guys, and just continuing to grow. One of those reasons is one of our food sponsors. They keep us growing because we love to eat.
Easy now.
Right now, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball, and of course the NLCS. First pitch 8:07 tonight from Dodger Stadium, and the Cardinals with a 2-0 lead. That series has been all about pitching.
A lot of these series have been all about pitching.
It has.
I mean, even up to Big Poppy's heroics last night, that series was about pitching. I
Better
think I
believe
had
it.
read where the Red Sox had gotten one hit and 51 at bats or something like that.
Crazy.
Some kind of crazy stat. And just to see them turn all that around in one swoop shows you how powerful momentum is, and we've talked about on this
Right.
show.
Cardinals
But pitching
up-
always dominant.
Yeah, Cardinals up 2-0. They have good pitching. The Dodgers have struggled offensively late in the season and not putting up a lot of runs. But St. Louis up 2-0. Any danger that St. Louis falls apart in this one?
I don't think so. I think St. Louis, they've been here, they've done that. They're expected to win.
Mm-hmm.
Read last week where St. Louis is the baseball town in America. You
Right.
know what? I can give them that. They're consistently always there, even in the end. So I don't see them squandering a 2-0 lead. I don't
Right.
see, the teams that like to win, we talked about that last week. Teams that know how to win, like to win, they don't like to lose.
Yes.
And they just have that mentality. I was going to look up the kid Waka. That,
Waka.
Yeah, that's doing so well for them.
Michael
Right.
Walker.
You know that he was one of those conditional draft picks that the Cardinals got because they lost Albert Pujols.
Yeah, how about that?
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
And I was reading today that the Reds need to make a qualifying offer to Bronson Arroyo in case of, offering $14 million.
Right.
You say, oh, what are you talking about? Offer it to him, and if he turns it down and he goes somewhere else, well, you get a draft pick for that.
Sure.
Probably a first round, more
Right.
than likely, and you might get a kid like this kid that St. Louis got. I
Right.
mean, St. Louis isn't picking in the top 10 because they're always winning. And
Right.
if they get a kid that good,
Yeah. And if the Reds don't make a qualifying offer to Bronson Arroyo, they don't get that draft pick.
Yeah.
But if the Reds make a qualifying draft pick and Bronson decides he likes it down the Ohio River, you're stuck with him.
well, and what you do is you give him, if he's looking for $14 million because he made 16.5 this year, a qualifying offer would be somewhere around 14. You give him the option of $14 million guaranteed next year with an option for a second year.
Right.
That would be a qualifying order.
I tell you what would be a qualifying order is if you just sent him packing. That'd be better.
Why?
Well, I think
Why would you send him
Uh,
packing? I mean, he's guaranteeing you 200 innings. He's pitched more innings and won more games and made more starts than any other starter since 2004.
Yeah. The only active pitcher in the major leagues, did I read this right, with more than 3 years experience that has never been on the disabled list?
Yeah.
Well, but what
Never
I'm
been
pointing
on
out
the
there,
DL.
that's awful high, though, for somebody that's been a mid-level pitcher throughout his career.
Yeah, he's been very consistent though. But I get Jamie's point. To get that draft pick, which typically is a pretty good pick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have to make the qualifying offer or you lose him for nothing. So Cardinals, they take the National League Central, is what I'm hearing from you, or the National League Championship
Sounds like it
Series.
to me. I mean, you go back to the franchise like St. Louis. They know how to make these deals to get these kids, like these draft picks and such. They didn't throw all their money at Pujols to keep him.
Yeah,
Look at the Angels threw money at a guy
right.
based on what he did for another team, not what he was going to do for them.
Kind of like the Reds and Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, we did the same thing years ago. I
Yes.
mean, I can't stand the Cardinals.
Right.
But
I hate them too.
But I do. But you know what? I do respect what kind of model they have.
Yeah.
And how they've been able to win and do it over a long period of time, even through managerial changes, general manager changes.
Right.
What's
They've had a
impressive.
lot of consistency in St. Louis.
The
year in and year
juice,
out.
the juice of 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark McGuire.
Hey.
Yeah, a lot of folks want to say, well, St. Louis, and they do it right. No, they were right in the midst of the steroid scandal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, McGuire
They
was
were.
there, and he was juicing while he was there. Don't give me that St. Louis has always done it right. No. You can't convince me of that, and you can't convince Major League Baseball of that. I don't like the Cardinals. I do respect the organization because they are winners. They have shown consistency, and they know what to do with their money, and the fans do show up for them. Baseball city, number one baseball city in America, I'm not going to give them that just
know.
because I won't.
Think about it. They've been in. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want
I
to.
just can't.
But look, they have been in postseason discussion the last 2 decades. The '90s.
Yeah.
You know, they had the era of Mark McGuire, but
Right.
they weren't a dominant team at that time.
Right.
'80s, world champs. '70s, they kind of fell off. But look back to the '60s.
Yeah.
When they had Bob Gibson. You
Yeah.
know, you go back further than
Stan
that,
the
they were
Man.
all
Musial.
Stan Musial. You know, they've always had something to build on.
Sure.
They are one of the best professional franchises in all sports.
Any dissension? Anyone think the Dodgers make a series of this?
No.
No, not after
Does
Wayne
Don
Knight pitched
Mattingly continue in the L.A. dugout?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so too. I think the divisional series win got him there. The ALCS Tigers on their way to a 2-0 lead until the 8th inning. Jim Leyland, one of the most respected managers in all of baseball, sends his pitcher to the mound with David Ortiz at the plate and doesn't tell him to pitch around this guy. David Ortiz, one of the most prolific hitters in postseason history, he makes things happen, and he hits a grand slam to tie it. How do you not? You walk Ortiz there. I'm sorry. You don't give him anything to sniff at. I don't see how you pitch to Ortiz in that
You know
situation.
what?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Bases loaded.
I was
You
just
have
saying.
a 4-run lead. You don't throw it to a home run hitter.
How many outs
In
were
the
there? How many
postseason.
outs were there?
I
don't remember.
There was
don't
2
remember.
outs.
2 out?
There was 2
I don't
outs.
I'm
think
not
it
walking
matters.
him. I'm going to pitch to him and hope for a force.
But
Okay, you have a 4-run lead. Why do you not pitch around this?
But-
I'm not saying intentionally walk this guy, but don't give him the pitch that he wants.
Yeah, but Andy,
don't give him something down the gut
That's-
to where he's going to drive it. Don't give him any of the pitches. Don't give him a pitch away at the waist that he's going to drive off the green monster. You know what Ortiz does in pressure situation. He is a clutch hitter. He may not, with nobody on and nobody out, and you need 3 runs, he's probably going to strike out. But in a situation like last night, he's going to do something. He's going to hit.
locked in.
He's going to hit a shot to the gap, or he's going to go deep if you make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. You have a 4-run lead, bases loaded, 8th inning. Pitch around this guy. Do not give him anything to hit. We'll take our chances. Okay, bases loaded. You walk in and run. Now you have a 3-run lead, but you don't have Ortiz at the plate.
Odd thing about it is in the postseason, I read an article last week in USA Today talking about how managers step out of their comfort zone in the postseason.
Yes.
And of course, that's why a lot of us criticize Dusty because he did not.
Right.
Leland's been one of those guys that has shown that he will do that.
Yes.
Here's a guy who brought Max Scherzer out of the bullpen, a 20-game winner who hadn't pitched out of the bullpen since, 2011?
Right.
Comes in and got himself, keep that in mind, he got himself in a bases-loaded jam.
Right.
They go up to talk to him. What do? Gamble and leave him in. Oakland
Yeah.
could have ended it right there and won their series.
Right.
Gambled and won. That was the gamble that he did.
Sure.
The gamble, I think, what you're talking about, that was a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been to walk him and not look for the force. He went conventional in that area.
And again, I'm not saying intentionally walking, but I saw a comment from Jim Leyland today that he made a mistake not making sure that his battery, his pitcher and catcher
Yeah.
knew, we don't want to pitch to this guy. We don't want him to beat us, because he understood, and he took it upon himself to say, it was my bad. I didn't make sure that my pitcher and catcher were clear. We didn't want this guy pitched to.
He
We
could've
don't
done
want
the
you to be a hero
unorthodox.
looking for a strikeout against Ortiz. Pitch around this guy. Pitch off the plate, pitch high and tight. Yeah, if he wants to chase something, we'll let him chase it. But we're not going to give him some way to beat us. And he ties the game, and then they go on to win. So I think the Tigers gave one away last night with that mistake, pitching to Ortiz. The Red Sox, wow. The series even at a game apiece. Had they gone down 2-0 going to Detroit, I really like the Tigers in this series. But even going to Game 3 Tuesday night, this thing may go 7. And as much as the Tigers are my team now, with what's remaining, the Tigers are my team. I'm a Jim Leland fan, in spite of the mistake he made last night, not making sure that Ortiz was pitched around. I don't know. This one goes 7, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Tigers have Verlander going in Game 3. They
Yeah.
have Doug Fister coming up. You'll see Scherzer come back. Anibal Sanchez pitched very well in
Very
Game
well.
1. Now, Boston's got some good pitching, too.
They do.
John Lester, you're going to see him again in the next 3 games.
Yes.
You're going to see, I don't want to cheat, but I will, John Lackey coming up in Game 3, which is tonight.
Uh-huh.
And then, Jake Peavy's been your number 5 guy, and Peavy's an ace in other years,
Oh,
not just because
absolutely.
of health problems. I don't want to say anything because I'm a Red Sox fan, so I'm totally biased, and I want to see Boston win. So my guess is not, unbiased. I'm being totally biased.
The Red Sox, the Red Sox are another one of those organizations, though, like the Cardinals. They get it right.
Oh, yeah.
When they need to make a change, they'll make a change. When they need a player, they'll make a player. One bright spot for the Red Sox, in my mind, Johnny Gomes.
Johnny Gomes
sorry.
and Dustin Pedroia. Boy, wouldn't you love to have a guy like that on your team?
Just a guy that truly leaves it all on the field.
Yeah. That's what the Reds are missing.
Yeah.
Reds had a guy that played half as good as him. We've had guys in the past that played that way but didn't have the stats or the clubhouse clout to back it up, like a Ryan Friel.
Right. Yeah.
You got to have somebody like that on your team to have success. I
Somebody
think Pedroia
that-
is the leader.
That will run through a wall
Yeah.
to win and sets an example on the field. Guys, ALCS at this point, tied at a game apiece. What are your thoughts?
I like Boston. I mean, I think it'll probably go 6 or 7, probably 7. We have to beat Verlander, but you're talking about Leland and his decision or lack of decision. But what about Poppy? How old is Big Poppy? And he's still able to go get that pitch,
betcha.
regardless of where it is. And
Yeah.
obviously, it was in his zone. But for him to still be able to do that, that's just great. So, and I've kind of adopted the Red Sox of the teams left, just because of him as my team now.
Right.
So.
I think you look back and see the Red Sox got off the mat last night with the grand slam, and I think they take it in 7.
In my biased opinion, I'm going with Boston. But if you're going to bring up Roids in 1998, you've got to bring up Roids in this century
Uh-huh.
in terms of Big Poppy.
Right.
There's a guy that was linked to it too.
Sure.
He's still out there playing.
Yeah. There you go. JB?
Well, I mean, I had Tigers and Dodgers from the start. I had Tigers winning it, but I'm at the point now.
Don't give up yet.
No.
Don't give up, baby.
No, I'm a Tigers. I still
finish
think-
what you start.
Exactly.
You got
we'll
it.
talk about that later. But anyway, yeah, it's Tigers in 6 or 7. Anybody but the Cardinals, let's say that.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
the Cardinals.
The ALCS, NLCS, I think 2 good series.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love to see the Reds there, but 2 good series, and we follow Major League Baseball. Of course, our favorite time of the year, NFL, college football, Major League Baseball, and, of course, high school football heading down the stretch. Important district games now, and we're heading toward the playoffs. Hard to believe Week 8 in the books. We're heading toward Week 9 of the high school season, and the NFL season, what now, 6 weeks old? That's hard to believe as well. You want to stick around tonight, the Sports Guys, with a special announcement regarding the Sports Guys and the future. And also, we'll have a poll question that we'll be throwing online for you, and it will be our weekly poll question. You'll be able to participate in that. Last Saturday night, Commonwealth Stadium. An interesting first quarter as the Cats were hosting number 1 Alabama. and the Crimson Tide rolled over Kentucky. Cats looked good through a quarter and a half. Defense ran out of gas. Offensively, not so good. I thought the defense played tremendously until you could see fatigue take over midway through the first half.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Nick Saban when they caught him at halftime when he was coming off the field.
Yeah, he wasn't.
We were the recipient of a couple of turnovers and a drop touchdown pass.
Yes.
They were still running up and down the field. They just couldn't get it in the end zone.
Right.
But yeah, I think that we really saw, and you know, we know that we're not the most talented team in the land, obviously, but we saw how far away we are from being the number one team in the nation, and,
Sure.
and what that does. And to me, the biggest difference is the offensive and defensive lines. I mean, they just, you know, they can run. I mean, you know, they can run anytime they want to.
Right.
We can't even get close to the quarterback, even when we bring numbers. You know, he had all day to throw the football, and that's just good line play.
Right.
And I think that you know, obviously the skilled people, and then when you've got, you know, a running back, their running backs are bigger than your linebackers, and their linebackers are grabbing our running backs like paperweights and throwing them around. But it's you know, it wasn't the, you know, we still haven't had. And it wasn't a close game, but we're not, you know, we're not in the 50s and 60s.
We're not
beat.
getting destroyed.
Right, and we were in it, you know, the first half, so to speak. You know, they were still doing what they wanted to do, and I guess you could take some comfort in that's, you know, we got a touchdown against them, and that's the first time that's happened to them. You know, in 14 quarters, of course, with Texas A&M put some points up. So a lot of positives. Maybe not so much this past Saturday, but up to this point, you know, even though we won one football game, I can see positives on this Kentucky football team. And one of the biggest things for me is the young people that we're playing. And I've been screaming this for years. The only way that we're going to get this program to climb up a level or two is start playing the young guys.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. You know, we're thin at quarterback right now with, you know, Whitlow, the injury there. And Max Smith, I like him, but I was amazed that he made it through the Alabama game.
Sure.
You know, because I'm like, we're going to see tolls before this game's over.
Right.
So, and you're probably not too far away from it. Great time for a week off, you know, to get healed up, because that was the one thing that we couldn't afford. And we've been pretty much up to this point injury-free, but not after this game. I mean, we've got some injuries to deal with now.
Well, and you talk about offensive and defensive line, the difference in number one Alabama, a program that just continues to roll out number one teams. Kentucky hasn't won an SEC game, I think, in 11 tries now. It's quite a streak without a win in the SEC. And there's a difference there. We hear all the talk. You mentioned it just now about quarterbacks. You talked about linebackers. We've talked about running backs. We've talked about lack of depth at wide receiver. And Kentucky historically has been recruiting the Deep South, Florida, going after wide receivers, running backs out of Georgia, quarterbacks, and linebackers. When are we going to address the need of offensive and defensive linemen? Is that part of Mark Stoops' plan in recruiting Ohio? Yeah, you've got a Big Ten recruiting base there, and the Big Ten typically a little more slow-footed, not the speed of the SEC. But is that where the answer is in recruiting offensive and defensive linemen? We're not getting those from the South. We're not building our offensive and defensive lines from the South. And historically, our offensive and defensive linemen that have been recruited from Kentucky aren't SEC caliber. Average at best offensive linemen. I'm talking over the last 10 years. I'm not talking historically, because we have had some guys. But what have the Kentucky guys done on the offensive and defensive front historically over the last 10 years? Our recruiting needs to change, and I hope with Mark Stoops it has. And I think that is a need. You have to worry less about quarterbacks. If you have Tim Couch at quarterback and he goes to the Cleveland Browns with no offensive line, what happens?
You lead the sacks for 5 years in a row.
He's in the booth quicker than he should have been. The same with Kentucky. If Kentucky has Drew Barker or whomever at quarterback, does it really matter if you can't protect him? If you can't open a hole for a running back to run through and the guy's scrambling for his life his entire career, does it really matter who you get? If you get a 5-star quarterback if you get 5-star running backs, if you get a stable of 5-star wideouts, does it really matter if you can't block?
No.
And, I think Elam, the kid out in Western Kentucky, I think he's huge.
Yes.
Basically down to Alabama and Kentucky right now. And if you look at the recruits they've got coming in, the commitments they've got the next couple of years, Stoops has got some linemen in there. And to no surprise, he's a tad heavy on the defensive lineman because he's a defensive coach, and that's fine with me.
That's easy to recruit.
But you've got to get those guys in here. And then, of course, I'm like Oscar Combs. I want my skilled people south of the Mason-Dixon line.
Exactly.
Ohio's fine, get you a linebacker, some linemen. But to me, that's where it all starts. And anybody that really knows their football, whoever wins it in the trenches, that's just going to win you football games.
Yeah, and the point I make is, to wrap it up, my point is you're not going to turn this program 180 degrees in 1 year.
No.
In 1 year
No,
recruiting,
coach.
in one recruiting class.
No.
It will take a few years.
Yes.
At least.
We must learn patience, and God knows we've had patience with the Kentucky program, but we've got to
good at
give
that.
Mark Stoops
Yeah,
patience as well. He's shown he can recruit Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
He has shown that he can recruit the University of Kentucky and bring those players that we need to become a player in the SEC. We have to give him some patience because freshman offensive linemen, you don't bring in. It takes some time for them to get in the weight room and bulk up and develop. So in the trenches, we're not going to win that battle even next year against Alabama or whomever in the SEC or the year after. It's going to be a process. We've got to have patience.
Back to what we talked about in the opening comment when you mentioned the winningest high schools, and I asked you what states they were coming from.
Right.
You make a great statement. Georgia, Florida, the South, where you have to have these players, and we're mining Ohio.
Sure.
Looking for something.
Yeah.
Something that we haven't had in the past.
Yeah.
I looked over Ohio State's roster just to curiosity while we've been sitting there talking. How many players do they have from the Deep South on their roster?
Few.
Well, and you got to think Urban Meyer's only been there 2 years. That'll change. But,
Okay.
go ahead.
12.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't count Texas or Missouri since they are SEC teams, and I
Right.
didn't really count them. If you throw in Texas, Kenny Gotton, their backup quarterback that stepped up very admirably at times,
Right.
is from Texas.
Yes.
But their star player
Yes.
from running back, Carlos Hyde, is a product of Florida.
Right.
It just shows you where that speed is, and we got to get down there in that.
Yeah. You have to have speed
Yeah.
at certain positions, but where are you going to find the big boys? You've got to find the corn-fed, and you've got to have a little depth in the trenches. And Ohio State
hey,
heavily slanted toward Ohio products as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, just glancing at the roster, if you just want to look at the weight, 297, Youngstown. 297, Centerville. 234,
Roundtown.
Warren. These are all Ohio towns. Let's go on now. 308, Toledo. I mean, you see what I'm saying? You kind of see what they are doing.
Exactly.
Kentucky is doing by going to Ohio.
Yeah, I think the Cats have to go there to develop in other Big Ten states to find the offense. You look at an offensive line, defensive line from the Big Ten, and you'll see that they do measure up with the top teams in the SEC.
I guess the real point here is it's not brain science. It's not
It's
brain
not.
surgery.
It's
to
not.
sit and think about this. If we could sit here in Pikeville, Kentucky, and talk about recruiting in
Right.
terms of where to get certain players,
Sure.
why couldn't Joker have figured that out over all those years? Why
Right.
is it guys in the past, Rich Brooks, why didn't they get that
Yeah.
all this time?
Yeah, exactly. It's there. College football coaches top 25: Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Clemson, Florida State 6 through 10. Louisville in at number 6 this week, followed by Texas A&M, LSU, South Carolina, UCLA, and the Hokies of Virginia Tech. You and I had a discussion earlier. They're in at number 20 this week and barely held off Marshall.
And,
Yeah.
and just so Jamie knows, there was a record set in the top 25 this week. 8 teams from one conference for the
The
first time
SEC.
ever.
Yeah.
The SEC, and you look at Missouri, they win over the weekend. They go down to Georgia and win between the hedges. Franklin gets hurt. He's out, 5-6 weeks?
It's over.
Something like that. He may return, may not.
Mm-hmm.
But are you buying these guys at being
Not now.
at SEC East?
Florida.
Are they go? They got Florida next. They got Florida and South Carolina next. They've already taken care of Georgia. If they get one of those two games, they're in the conversation for SEC.
Well, they got Georgia at the right time too, though.
Yes, they did.
They did against Georgia.
Pretty
That's it.
depleted team, even though it was at Georgia.
Don't drink the Missouri Kool-Aid.
No.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. The SEC championship game. Who do you see?
Right now,
Yes.
Alabama,
Yes.
and I would probably say Florida at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Genius is shaking his head.
No, I think it'll be Alabama, South Carolina.
That's who I got.
South Carolina's so ugly though when they win.
They are.
Yeah,
They win.
They win.
They win, but
Alabama LSU will be the SEC game of the year.
Yeah.
Again.
And I know he's not the boss's favorite, but Steve Spurrier. I mean, in those big games, outside of the SEC championship game, of course. But yeah, I think he's strong enough to take his conference.
What about his what about his big boy Clowney?
Well, he'll decide to play in the big games and they'll win.
Yeah.
Do you think he will decide to play in the big games?
Yeah. I think
When
he
the
will.
ring's on the line, he will.
I'm not sure.
But he's setting a whole new precedent. We
He
talked
is
about
so
that.
focused
We talked
on
about that last week. I mean,
so focused on the NFL.
How long is it going to take to get to a big high school recruit? How far are we away from a high school recruit sitting out some games because he didn't want to lose, take a chance on getting injured and mess
Right.
up that college scholarship?
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, it will, because it all trickles down from level to level. It's homecoming week this week in the Mid-South Conference, and the University of Pikeville Bears Dudley Hilton squad set to host Bethel University Saturday afternoon, 1:30 kickoff at Hamley Athletic Complex, and of course we'll have coverage beginning at 1:15 on Saturday as Hilton's U-Pike Bears are back in action on the gridiron Saturday afternoon. Big day for U-Pike. Tailgating, free tailgating, begins at 11:30 Saturday afternoons. Come on out for homecoming and all the festivities. And then the Bears take on Bethel Saturday afternoon. You don't want to miss it, as the Bears look to get healthy this week, and I think they will. A very talented team. If you haven't seen this U-Pike team play this year, encourage you to do that. Division I transfer, A.J. Graham at quarterback, coming from Marshall University. Newkeese Richardson out of the University of Tennessee at a wideout. These are guys that have been out of football for a year that you're seeing the rust fall off game by game. And you see some tremendous play out of these guys. And in addition to the standouts that have been there, this U-Pike team, very talented group of receivers. And this is a team and a program that's growing week by week. And come out and check out the Bears. I think you'll be pleased with the product Saturday at the Hamley Complex. Homecoming, and wear your orange and black, and I think you'll have a great time. If you're a football fan, you'll enjoy the product on the field. As we come to you on a Monday night, our regular edition of the Sports Guys. We're here every Monday night through the athletic seasons, August through April, and who knows, we may not take a summer hiatus next year. We may stick around through the summer. There's plenty to talk about if I can keep Jeremy Bell off the beach. Warm weather comes and the boy takes off to the beach. By the way, got some interesting comments about some of our local youth football coaches around the region. Not our high school coaches, our college coaches, but the guys that coach, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. Yeah, some of those guys are just intense. And I've seen them in action.
Oh, I don't know who that could be.
May have gotten someone's attention just now. I saw Jeremy Bell in action coaching flag football last week. He didn't know I was there.
No, I didn't.
No. And I was simply an observer, just a blind evaluation.
Remind you of the 49ers coach of the
Yeah,
National
49 of that.
One of the sports guys' coaching skills. Yeah. So did you win last week?
No.
Didn't think so from what I saw.
Yeah,
I left
we-
before it was over.
Yeah.
And of course, no scoreboard.
No,
They claim to not keep score.
it's in your head.
Yes.
So we pretty much know who won. and
Intense,
lost.
though.
So
What age group was that?
this is 5 through 8 year olds.
Yeah.
So and
Some
all my team's
tremendous
5
play.
and 6. Oh yeah, we
You've
play,
got some speed.
I do.
You
I
need
do.
some beef.
I need some beef.
You need
We're
some beef in the
small.
trenches.
We're small. My son's quarterback, so
Yeah.
it tells you we're real small.
Yeah.
So your team's 5 and 6, right? And they're playing them 7 and 8 year
Yeah,
olds.
pretty much.
It's like that JV. Oh, they're playing juniors.
Yeah. Drove to the game.
But youth football, and it's good to see
great.
good to see a good turnout.
it is.
For I've even
Rode their
seen
bicycles to the game.
even seen some 3 and 4 year olds in flag football. There's some talent there as well. Just evaluating talent last week, guys. Sorry, got out one night and saw some
Andrew
of the
Joyce
flag
on
football.
assignment.
Yeah, scouting.
Checking it out, and there's some good young players out there. There is one speedster. I don't know if he was on your team or the opposing team, but he had a breakaway touchdown.
Usually most of them are. So.
Yeah, it was a breakaway, and this guy outran everyone. And no, it wasn't related to you. The Sports Guy is presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back in, everyone. Promised a special announcement tonight, and without further ado, the Sports Guys been around for about 12 years on Monday nights. We're not going anywhere. So let me put that rumor to bed. The Sports Guys will still be here on Monday nights from 7 till 9, and you'll get your fix of high school football from the week past, the week ahead. We'll roll into high school basketball season in depth, college basketball and football, topics around the sports world. We'll talk about things that are timely, like post-game handshakes. But the Sports Guys going to the next level, and the Sports Guys is going daily. That's right. Monday through Friday, a little different, Sports Guys, as we will be on the air on the ESPN Radio, 95.9, 104.5, and 102.5 FM, Pikeville, Prestonsburg, and Williamson. The Sports Guys live every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m., a 1-hour edition of Sports Guys, and we'll talk about what's going on in the sports world that day. On Tuesdays, it may very well be the latest Associated Press high school football rankings and break them down and discuss. If a directive comes from the commissioner's office, we will talk about that and post-game handshakes. If it's high school volleyball tournament action and there's a showdown set, we'll attempt to talk with some of the coaches there, have guests on, and it will be a 1-hour edition of the Sports Guys every Monday through Friday, driving you home. A lot of folks driving home that time of day from 5 till 6 p.m., the Sports Guys, and you never know who will be there. It may be a full panel in if it's a busy day and guys are chomping at the bit to get their opinion out. It may just be a couple of the Sports Guys with some phone interviews. We may have guests in studio, but the Sports Guys going daily, 5 days a week, 5 p.m. on ESPN Radio each Monday through Friday. So be sure and join us tomorrow, Tuesday, October 15th, just as high school basketball practice can begin. The Sports Guys debuts daily tomorrow evening on ESPN at 5. So exciting stuff with the Sports Guys, and of course presented by Appalachian Wireless. Should be fun. 5 days a week, lots of opinion, and we'll talk about whatever's going on in the world of sports that day. Right now, time to take a look back at Week 8 of the Kentucky high school football season and take a look at scores from around the region. And last week, we'll get things started with the Friends of Cole Bowl as Harlan County rolled over Letcher Central 49-7. The Black Bears get the win there. Sheldon Clark still winless after Blazer defeats Sheldon Clark 50-8. The Belfry Pirates traveled to Knoxville to take on Christian Academy of Knoxville, and our own Wes Hicks and Bobby Norman were there for coverage of that. We learned when our guys arrived in Knoxville that Christian Academy's senior quarterback suspended during the week, and they had to use a freshman starting quarterback in that game, and we learned that during football Friday night. There was a swell of pick'em contest picks that were changed between 7 and 7:15 on Friday night. The Pirates, of course, went in banged up as well at the running back position. They had some young starters as well, a lot of guys in street clothes. But when Christian Academy senior quarterback was listed as unavailable, there were some changes in the picks. But Belfry pulls out the win. That's a big win, traveling to Christian Academy. It's a school that's produced some state champions in most recent years, and Tennessee Mr. Footballs as well. It's a growing program in the Knoxville area, and Belfry pulls out a 27-21 win on the road. I think that's a big win for the Pirates because they were banged up, and a lot of their young players gained that invaluable experience against a quality program on the road, much like a playoff type atmosphere.
That's where I think it's huge, and you know, you're playing in a big city. I think that prepares them, you know, for Bowling Green if they're fortunate to get that far. Which, you know, Joe Kendrick's not here to place them there just yet. But to go on the road in a tradition-rich state that loves their football, you're in Knoxville, you know, right down the street, I'm sure, from the University of Tennessee. But just that type of atmosphere, and then this team had won 2 straight state championships. Yeah, they lost some good players, but it's an academy, you know, so they can recruit. I'm sure they do it very well. So they knew that it was going to be a tough environment. But for them to go in there and pull that win out, that shows some confidence. And I think that really will help them in the playoffs, and especially if they reach Bowling Green.
Also, you know, the fact that they could stay focused and go down that way, and knowing that their family was probably going to go and spend the weekend in Pigeon Forge. I'd say some of them did that.
Sure.
Maybe go to Sevierville and you know, have a little R&R. And, hey, we're going to play some football on Friday. We can go out and have a little fun. You know, but to put all that aside and say we got a game we got to take care of, and a virtual unknown. They didn't know anything about this team.
Right.
Most of those kids knew less about Christian Academy than we could look up on the internet. I mean, none of us had seen them play.
Sure.
And it also shows what Coach Haywood and his staff can do to find these opponents, find these games. The game had a purpose, like you said. The purpose of that game wasn't just to fill a schedule, but it was to prepare them for Bowling Green.
Absolutely. Yeah, you would think Belfry could have found an opponent much closer to home that they probably could have gotten a win against, but a very competitive program in Tennessee who is also looking for some competition. And Belfry and Christian Academy, great matchup in spite of both being without some players. Tremendous game, and Belfry gets the win late, and I think it does. It boosts confidence, and it keeps that runaway train moving, momentum. Belfry running toward the postseason, and Coach Philip Haywood will tell you this team's not close to playoff ready, but that game I think prepares them more so. There you go. One of our surprise picks last week, and I don't know what the percentages was before the picks were out, but Betsy Lane at Leslie County. And this was a game that many discussed, and we're a little up in the air about what's Betsy Lane going to do. What did the Bobcats do? Basketball practice just around the corner. Are they getting hungry for maybe moving to the hardwood and ready to write off the season? But Betsy Lane, I think, made a statement going to Leslie County with a 51-0 beatdown.
Yeah, they went in, and that game was no doubt from the start. They showed up at 6:30. Bus was late.
Right.
But they came in on the field. There wasn't all the hype and all the pageantry that you saw in the Prestonsburg game. Leslie County, I know they're down. Obviously they're down because Betsy Lane took care of them and took care of them rather handily. But it was still another team that they had never beaten before.
Right.
This is a team that's been in their district, that they played 8-6 2 years ago, lost I think 29-16 a year ago at Betsy Lane, a game that was had a lot of attention last year.
Sure.
And this year came in, took care of business, scored on their first 5 possessions of the game. Leslie County had 110 yards in penalties in this game. 110 yards in penalties, 80 of those were in the first half. They had 4 personal fouls called in that game.
Wow.
4 personal fouls. Now, when I say personal fouls, face mask. 4 face mask calls. Immediately, 2 of them were immediately in the first drive of the game. Kind of really just not expecting that at all by going down there. And I think it was just the fact that they were having a hard time keeping up with the speed that Betsy Lane had. They're doing everything they can to reach out and grab guys, do what they could to slow them down. Betsy Lane came in and showed they could run the football a little bit. And if they can keep a balanced offense, run the football, and offset that with the pass, they'll be a dangerous first, second round team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I've said it over and over again. The athleticism that team possesses, if they can harness that, they will make some noise in the postseason. Just stay away from the hype and hoping for first, because they did get a first.
Sure.
Not even really looking for it. Another thing, that win saves their football season, because if they don't win that game, how many of those kids quit that team and start basketball this
Right.
week?
Exactly.
You know, because all you're playing for is we might get an extra win. We'll have 8 wins, and we'll lose in the first round of playoffs because we'll be on the road. That'd
Right.
be 2 district losses. That win was huge for the program.
Statement game, I think, for the Bobcats indeed, with a 51-0 win over Leslie County on the road. It's a very good win for the Bobcats. Another one of our pick'em games last week, Danville, 35-23 over Somerset. Fairview rolled Paintsville, 44-7. They've got a big one coming up this week. Anyone surprised by the Fairview Paintsville score?
I was.
I was a
Really?
little surprised this one
Yeah.
was.
I thought Fairview would win,
Yeah.
but I didn't think it'd be by that margin. Paintsville's got some speed too. What we saw Fairview, not as much speed as in the past, but still the big guys and a physical running game, and I think Paintsville just couldn't hold up.
Yeah. Fairview continues to roll, and they are unbeaten. Hazard all over Harlan, 48-13. The woes continue for the Green Dragons. And we saw a state record set. Johnson Central kicker Tyler Pack, a 60-yard field goal. 60-yard field goal from Tyler Pack as Johnson Central knocks off Greenup County 54-0. But the story out of that was the state record field goal. Guys, when did the record stop falling? Because our kickers, not just here locally, Tyler Pack obviously, the kid from Raceland who held the record prior to, of I think 58
Aaron
yards.
Petrie, 58 yards. He went on to play for Ohio State.
Exactly. Not just these guys, but across the country, we're seeing stronger and stronger legs, and the records that stood for so long are falling now. I'm
Guess
not
what,
sure it's leg strength or the science of kicking that's getting better.
Guess what, though? He plays soccer.
Yeah,
He plays soccer, and he still plays football.
right.
Soccer doesn't hurt their football team.
Yes, it does. Don't go there.
Just saying.
Don't go there.
Just saying.
It helps their
Because-
kicking.
I've waited all day to throw that out here. I read that at 9:30, and I went, Andrew Joyce.
Well, if it took you 2 weeks to come up with that, that's sad.
Hey, it's a state record. That's a good one to hold on
It
to.
should have come up. It should have come up when Pikeville kicker Zach Berge Van, who set a school record for field goal of over 50 yards. I believe it's maybe 55, something like that. That he had to set a school record. Who also played soccer and football. That's one kid. How many football teams in our region have soccer players more than one? Typically, they have one
Kicker.
that comes across and kicks as well. On Friday nights, plays soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Not hurting
and then they come over. But the numbers definitely hurt the single A programs. Had a discussion with an athletic director about that and said you were spot on. Said the decline in football numbers in small schools began immediately when soccer programs began.
Here's what's odd about that. I don't want to get off track, but and that's a 60-yard field goal. That's pretty
incredible.
impressive. But the pro record is still 63 or 64 is it Dempsey? I mean that's been there forever.
That was straight on though.
And you've got kickers in high school and college, kicking 55, 60-yard field goals,
Sure.
but yet you can't
over
bust
that.
that 63-yarder, which of course they don't use a tee, and a little bit of difference
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But you would think that record would have been broke years ago, but it still hasn't.
By the way, he misfired on a 62-yard attempt in that
Wow.
game. And if you ask where they, there was somebody had said that they'd backed up to try to do it in a previous game.
Yes.
This one not. They used the fair kick rule, which is a very
fair
good,
catch,
fair catch rule, and set up the kick on what was second down.
I think you don't even get,
Try
a,
to get
you
that.
don't, you didn't get a rush on that, so I'm not a fan of that.
It's a free
Yeah.
kick.
Yeah,
And a 54-0 game, I'm okay with that. If a kid's trying
It
to
was
set a record.
48-0 at the time.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Trying to field goal, trying to bust a record for a field goal in a game like that, I'm perfectly okay with that as well. But congratulations, Tyler Pack. Johnson Central continues to roll, by the way. They are unbeaten at 7-0. And other action, McGoffin County, 41-8 winners over Jackson County. Continuing to roll are the Hornets. It was Middlesboro, 41-14 winners over Marion County, and a little closer to home, Perry Central all over Whitley County, 67-22. And a shout out to the Phelps Hornets, Marty Casey texted me last week.
And you didn't share the information with us.
I just didn't think of you guys
Thanks,
at the time.
thanks. Yeah, we see how you-
I actually didn't submit my picks
Noticed
until
that.
Friday
I mean,
about
Marty's
7
word's
o'clock.
gold, Andrew. That's,
Marty Casey of Phelps, longtime member of the Phelps community and staff and athletic programs, sent me a text on Thursday. I would love to read it to you on air, but I don't have my phone handy. But it was something that I am predicting a Phelps win. We will snap our 21-game losing streak this Friday night. Marty predicted it.
Had I known, had
Yes.
I the same information as you,
You would have
I'm-
picked Phelps.
Absolutely.
Well, he's
Based on
an honorary-
Marty's prediction.
Absolutely.
Isn't he an honorary sports
Marty
guy, too?
Casey.
Oh, yeah, Marty
Marty
is
Casey.
absolutely an honorary
If he
sports
tells
guy.
me something, you can take it
That's
to the
right.
bank.
Marty Casey texted me and predicted the Hornets win. I think that's huge because they get a 52-12 win.
Yeah, and
convincingly.
it wasn't a close one.
At Vipperman Stadium on homecoming night for the Hornets, playing on someone else's field. I think it's huge, and the program snaps a 21-game losing streak. That's huge, and that's a confidence builder for that program. And congratulations, Marty and Phelps and the entire school and athletic program and football program at Phelps. But to get that monkey off your back is a big deal. And Marty also sent me a text post-game. And it gave me the final score because a lot of times we don't get reports of Phelps scores until later for whatever reason. They may be traveling out of state. But Marty let me know the score. We won, and his last words in his text to me is, I'm so excited I can almost cry. And you know, and anyone that knows Marty knows that
That's awesome.
he loves that school and that community and the programs around there, and we love Marty, and he's an honorary sports guy. So congratulations to the Phelps football program.
And what did you say to me? We were talking today. You said that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
right.
Absolutely. It's not about post-game handshakes or any of that or running up the score. Not, you know, it's about a school that breaks a losing streak like that, and a guy that's been around the program for, I don't know, as long as I've been traveling to Phelps, 30 years. He's been there, and he just lives and breathes the Phelps school. And there are people like that around our communities, not just guys that are tightly associated, but fans of our programs. And it's about the kids, and it's about the people that are around the schools, and that is what it's all about. Phelps, they're not going to go deep in the playoffs, but that win right there on homecoming night, those are memories of a lifetime for those members of that team in that win on a Friday night, and that truly is what it's all about. Pike Central, 26-20 over Lawrence County. A little bit of a surprise, a little bit of a split pick in this one in our pick'em contest. Lawrence County comes in with a better record, and 6-1 coming in. Pike Central 3-3, and the Hawks find a way to stop someone. They hold Lawrence County to 20 points, and I think that was the difference in this one. The question was, can Pike Central stop Lawrence County's offense? Can they slow this team down? Pike Central, a team John Chapman, he coaches defensively. That is his thing. Mark Stoops, a defensive guy at Kentucky. John Chapman's a defensive guy, and he gets it done. Pike Central, huge win over Lawrence County, 26-20.
And you talk about split picks. This was really almost like a split game because Pike Central, they jumped out 26-0 in the first half in this ball game, and then a minute and a half left or so in halftime, the kid from Lawrence County, Dalton, freshman, runs back to the kickoff, and that's their first score.
83-yard score.
Yeah, and he's pretty impressive. Only a freshman. Of course, we saw him on the basketball floor as well with that young Lawrence County basketball team.
Sure.
But in Pike Central, though, they totally dominated the first half. I mean, their first couple of drives, they just took it right down the field and just looked like a well-oiled machine offensively. And they had over 350 yards of offense in the first half. Only roughly 90 yards of offense in the second half, though, like two different teams. But what was impressive, Lawrence County scored a couple TDs, made it 26-20, and they were driving. And once again, it was the Fairview Pike Central game all over, really. And I'm sure that was going through a lot of minds in the stands. And we talked about that mental hurdle that Pike Central needed to get over. And the big third down coming up, they're down inside the 15-yard line. and the quarterback goes back to pass for Lawrence County at Cyrus, it gets sacked. A big sack. Andrew Fields, Caleb Mead, and I think Justin Hendricks back there. And he actually had to leave the game
Right.
for one play, which was basically the ball game, the fourth down. And Pike Central batted that pass down in the end zone. So they did what they needed to do, and they finally won that close game.
Right.
And this was a big game. I mean, you're basically playing for a home playoff, field
Sure.
advantage, and that's pretty much what they sealed up, at least a home playoff win. But Dakota Ray, huge in that game. I think 14 carries, 170-some yards, took a couple of touchdowns. Mac Justice again through the air. Andrew Fields had a couple of touchdowns catching the football. But I think more than anything, I think that they got over one of those mental hurdles and should give them some confidence the next time that they're in a close game, because they're going to need that. Of course, everybody needs that confidence going into the playoffs.
Pike Central goes to 4-3. Lawrence falls to 6-2, and I have to agree that was our tiebreaker game last week.
It was our tiebreaker.
Yep.
We had discussed everything you just said. Frosty said it last week on the show. One of these games, they're finally going to turn the hurdle.
Right.
They're finally going to turn the curve, jump the hurdle, and do something. They're in a good position. They're going to play either Morgan County, Breathitt County, or McGoffin in a home game. One of those three, because it's still not sorted out yet. So you feel really good about being a Pike Central Hawk today.
No doubt.
Absolutely. Another one of our pick'em games last week, homecoming at Pikeville as the Panthers take on South Floyd. This one ugly early, and for those that say coaches can't help but run up a score and run up huge scores, yes, you can prevent it. 42-0 after a quarter, and the final 55-16.
Yeah.
42-0 after a quarter. Only put up 13 more points in the next 3 quarters. You can prevent scores like 91-10. Mm-hmm. It can be prevented if you do it the right way, and Pikeville did it. Big win on homecoming as the Panthers will travel to Phelps this week. They're in district play. Pineville all over Jenkins, 43-8. It was Prestonsburg rolling over Shelby Valley, 55-13. The Black Cats go to 3-5. Shelby Valley 4-3. Jeremy Bell, a lot of folks down on Prestonsburg, saying Prestonsburg's down. They proved that they still are the top team in their AA district after a win over Betsy Lane. Shelby Valley was ready to knock them off the top of the hill. Going into this one, the Wildcats and Black Cats, tale of two different teams.
Well, it is. I mean, it goes back to a couple weeks ago with when Betsy Lane thought they were going to beat Prestonsburg, and Jamie said to be the man, you got to beat the man, and that's exactly what Valley thought going into Prestonsburg's field. I guess they might have forgot that Prestonsburg is still the big boy on the block, and starting off the game, it was very exciting. I mean, both teams were imposing their will against each other. They were scoring on each other. Neither team could stop each other.
Right.
So Valley's down 14-13. Ball's on the 5-yard line, first to goal. Could not get in the end zone. And after that, that was it. It was over. And Prestonsburg just put up and shut up, and that was it. Shut the door on them. I mean, Valley was deflated. You could tell. They didn't come out with the same energy in the second half. I was disappointed. I was. Just being a Valley, alum that I am, to see them play like that in the second half. That's not the Valley team that I've seen the last few weeks really put up. And I said it on there, and I said on Sports Guys too. The three things that they needed to win was time of possession,
right,
the turnover battle, and pass defense.
Yes.
Well, time of possession, Valley's defense was on the field more than double what Prestonsburg was,
right.
So that's strike one.
Sure.
Turnover battle, Valley had 3 turnovers. Prestonsburg didn't have any. Strike two. Pass defense, I said it. That's why I picked Prestonsburg, and in Sports Guys last week, because Paintsville realized they could throw the ball and Shelby Valley at will. Valley's up 16 points, 4 minutes to go. Paintsville comes out this spread attack and throws all over the field. That's exactly what Prestonsburg did. They picked their spots, chose wisely, and Jared Gerald does a great job managing a game.
Sure.
He's a good, has good game flow. Is that the right word, terminology I'm trying to look for? But very impressive win for Prestonsburg, and I tell you, they're probably the best 3-5 team in the state of Kentucky. I'll tell you that. Because
Tough schedule.
they have got a tough schedule. They had 3 losses combined, 4 points. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. They're still the man.
They are. They are
district.
very good. So hats off to Coach DeRoss. That team was well prepared and a lot of energy from the first quarter of the last 2 games. So.
There you go. And our player of the week, of course, congratulations, Tyler Pack of Johnson Central, the 60-yard field goal to set the state record. And wrapping up high school football from last week. And time to take a look at our matchups from this week, week 9 of the Kentucky high school football season. And we're going to travel through these a little more quickly than most shows, make our predictions and roll, because we do want to talk about our post-game handshake protocol that takes place during the post-game of this show. So it's been on everyone's minds. We'll start with Thursday night action, as the Phelps Hornets will host Pikeville District game at Belfry's Vipperman Stadium. 6:30 kickoff. We'll have coverage at 6:15 on the Oldies Radio Network. Phelps snapped a 21-game losing streak last week, but too much Panthers in this one. Huge underdog are the Hornets.
Marty, I love you, but it's all maroon.
Yeah, Pikeville.
Unless you get a text from Marty.
Yeah.
If I got to tell you, if I get a text
You
from
let me
Marty
know.
Casey predicting a Phelps win, I'll pick the
Let me
Hornets.
know.
But right now, I'm sticking with Pikeville in this one. A game heard on ESPN Radio, 95.9, 104.5, and 102.5 FM. South Floyd travels to Allen Central. And leanings on this one, Allen Central falls to Phelps last week. Do the wheels come off for the Rebels? This is a rivalry game, and I think you throw a lot of things out, but I still go with the Raiders in this one.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I think you go with South Floyd in this game. It's played at Allen Central. I think if you had seen Allen Central any more competitive in the Phelps game, you might have been leaning the other way.
Right.
Not so in this one.
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
South Florida.
South Florida.
All right. Game heard on 93.1 WDHR, Lawrence County at Belfry. The Pirates banged up, but they are 7-0. They are the number 1 ranked team in AAA in all the polls. And Belfry continues to roll at Cam Stadium over Lawrence County.
Oh, it's Big Red.
Boom, Belfry.
Yeah, I learned my lesson last week. No more.
Yeah, last week or not, Belfry takes this one.
There you go. McGoffin County goes to Betsy Lane, the Hornets, and Clay Elam, putting up big numbers week after week. Is Clay Elam the Bobcats at home? Do they protect home turf? I think so.
Yeah, I think the other thing is too much Dylan Hamilton, and this offense really starting to click at the right time. So I'll go with Bobcats at home.
Yeah, Betsy Lane plays good at home. They'll have a good crowd with that win over Leslie last week. Go with the Bobcats in this one.
Yeah, Bobcats.
It's going to be, I think, a little bit closer than what people think. But
Yes.
Betsy Lane wins at home. At McGoffin County, maybe a different story, but
Yeah.
I like the Bobcats.
Got to go with the home field there myself as well. Another interesting game, Morgan County goes to Breathitt County. Many years, this is an easy pick. It becomes tougher for me, but those that have ever played in Jackson know that it's a tough place to play. I'll go with the Bobcats at home simply because of home field advantage. 6-point, maybe 12-point advantage.
Morgan County's been a surprise team this year, Andrew. A lot of the people have been talking about them having a good season, a lot better than they predicted. But Breathitt County at home, you got to go with them. So.
Yeah, this game, both of these teams are 2-0 in district play.
Right.
This is probably for the district title. Morgan's going to have a lot of steam coming in on this, but I will pick Breathitt County at home.
There you
Yeah,
go.
home field advantage, everything in this one. Cannon will be going off. I think it's Breathitt.
I'm going to have to go with the Cougars in this one.
Oh,
Morgan County had a really good season last year. Breathitt County down a little bit this year, but both 2-0. Dandy ball game. This could
Yeah,
be one of
should
the
be.
better ball games of the week, but I'm gonna go with the Cougars.
This is the same thing as the Prestonsburg Betsy Lane argument. Valley
Getting over the hump.
Prestonsburg. It's the same thing. Can they get over the hump?
Yeah.
You know,
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
that's right.
McGoffin came close against them.
That they did. Middlesboro at Danville. After Danville's win, the Admirals win over Somerset last week, I'm a believer.
There you go.
And I'm going to go with Danville in this one at home.
Yeah, Danville's won 3 in a row. Big win at Somerset.
Yep.
Really tough place to play. The Admirals got it going on.
Yeah, the anchor sinks right here with these guys.
Yeah, Danville.
I'm tempted to go with Middlesboro. on
What
this
are you
one.
smoking?
I really am. If Somerset's down, I mean, and Danville, look at their schedule. They're not. This isn't your
I know
daddy's
that.
Danville either.
It ain't your daddy's yellow jackets
no,
either,
no.
my
That
friend.
side-
It's not.
the whole side of the district
just
is
a year
down
or
this
two
year.
ago, that was one of the toughest districts in the state, bar
No
none.
defense.
I'll go with Danville on this one. I'm with the reservation to change my pick. This is a dandy also.
Don't let us sway your decision.
No, I'll go with Danville since it's at Danville.
All right.
Lee Majors Field, I'd go with the Yellow Jackets.
A game you will hear on Z1075, a border battle. Grundy travels to East Ridge. And Jeremy Bell, you've had a chance to see the Golden Wave this year.
Well, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm talking to you guys before this started. I think you're going to go with East Ridge, but I'm going to go with Grundy simply because I think they can mix it up pretty good. And East Ridge, although they've improved a lot this year, I think Grundy passes the ball enough, and they've got enough playmakers to make a difference in this game. So I'm going to go with Grundy with the upset at East Ridge.
You ever heard that song by the Monkees, I'm a Believer?
I am a believer.
You know, I went up to East Ridge last week and saw in the hallway they had a picture of their team, and I tweeted this on at EKB Sports on Twitter. Picture of their team, and right below it says 4-1. First time we've won 4 games this early. And I'm thinking that's what it's all about. That was my that's what it's all about moment. That momentum continues, and East Ridge gets a big win.
There you go.
Jeremy, you saying Grundy? I'll go with Warriors.
Are we allowed to say Warriors? Warriors.
Yeah.
Warriors.
I'm
can
talking
say
about
Warriors.
the movie back in the
And
70s.
they'll be playing at the home of the tribe,
There
by
you
the
go.
way, at Lake
reservation.
Who
Ridge.
you got?
Bell took Grundy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
That's fine.
I'm going with East Ridge. Jenkins goes to Hazard. That is not part of our pick'em contest this week. Not Central at Jackson County. That is one of our pick'em games. The Patriots go to Jackson County. Jeremy Bell.
And my college roommate's going to get his 5th win of the season. Go Russell Shear in Jackson County.
Knott County young. They've had a couple of good games this year.
They have.
I'm gonna go with the Patties on the road, Knott County.
Yeah.
Oh.
KNOTT.
Who decides what games goes on our pick'em contest?
I have no idea.
Not you.
Not me. Evidently, it's
Go with Hazard.
another tough one here. I'm going to go. It's on the road. Is that Jackson County?
It is
Yes.
at Jackson
I'm going to
County.
go with Jackson County.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet going with the home team here. Jackson County already with 4 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
they're pretty good.
Playing very well. I think just being on the road, I think that's an advantage. Not Central will fall at Jackson County. Rowan County at Johnson Central. And the Eagles coming off the state record, continuing to roll. We throw Johnson Central out at home. I think the Eagles stay unbeaten here.
Probably one of the best teams Coach Matney's ever had. Johnson Central in or out.
Johnson Central.
Yeah. Eagles.
Tom Dempsey's record in jeopardy in this one. I'm on with Johnson Central.
There you go. Perry Central goes to Letcher County Central. The Commodores putting up big numbers. Letcher Central falls big last week to Harlan County, and I've got to go with the Commodores in this one.
I'm going to go with the Commodores too, but I think it'll be closer than what people thinks it is. I've called a few games at Letcher Central. That's a good crowd, and win or lose, they bring a big crowd, but I think Perry Central win a close one.
I took a long look at this today and thought about it because, maybe this is the game where maybe they turn around a little bit, Letcher Central, but Perry Central with the Justin Haddix and that team being able to put as many points as they can on the board.
They can.
Trying to hang on to, try to contain prey is too much for Letcher Central to ask.
Yeah, I agree with Jeremy. This has become a good rivalry game. And Letcher will have the crowd out, but I'll pick Perry in a slight one.
I didn't take a long look at this today because I'm just finding out what games we have as we would call them on the show. It is a big-
Listen at him.
It is a big rivalry game.
Handicap.
Well, they're not posted, so how would I know?
You ain't got a computer.
Perry Central, Letcher Central, a rivalry game. I'm going to go with Fletcher on this one. I think they'll
Okay.
Fletcher.
All right. Guarantee Friday at 7:15 that won't be who he has picked. I can see him. He's being deceptive. He's trying to sway some of our folks that are tuned in. Paintsville goes to Nicholas County. Tigers get a win here.
Oh, Tiger's big.
Yeah, Paintsville back on the winning track.
Get healthy, yep.
Fighting Italians.
All right. Harlan
we
goes
say that?
to
No.
Pineville. I think the Mountain Lions get a win in this one at the foot of Pine Mountain.
Yeah, all Pineville.
Who's this?
Pineville hosting Harlan.
Pineville.
Yeah, got another Woolham running Pineville like back in the old days. I'm going with Mountain Lions.
Closer than you think in this one, too, but Pineville.
There you go. Fairview goes to Raceland in a Northeast Kentucky showdown. One of the top games in the Commonwealth this week.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a dandy.
I don't know, Andrew. I'm going back and forth on this. I'll take Fairview undefeated still.
Read
a
this,
close one.
read this stat in the Daily Independent in Ashland. They do a fantastic job down there. Raceland hasn't beaten Fairview since 2009. And Fairview has never beaten Raceland 4 straight times.
Right.
I will go with Fairview in this one.
Yeah, I think Fairview gets the win at Raceland.
This is an easy one for me, Fairview.
Really? So our panel has gone
4.
4 picks for Fairview.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. I was going to go with Raceland here.
Go ahead, don't let us sway you.
There will be sirens and lights
Oh, yeah.
flashing on US
Fire
23
trucks and-
at the home of the Rams.
The Worthington's finest will be there.
Probably
Wow.
spraying it down.
I'm still going with Raceland. I'm taking Raceland here. Fairview does not
Say it a little
beat
louder,
the
then.
Rams 4 years straight.
Has never happened before.
It's never happened before, and it won't happen in 2013. Raceland wins this, and I'm as confident. I've already put a check mark. Go ahead and post my pick.
Wow.
Good.
Classy Rock 103 features Leslie County at Shelby Valley, and the Wildcats get healthy this week.
Yeah, they get healthy, and they're going to get back. They're going to win this game big, I believe, at home, and it'll be for all the marbles the week after when they take on the Bobcats. So.
Yeah, too much Shelby Valley at home, too much run game.
Not Tim Couch's Leslie County, so I'll go with Shelby Valley.
Yeah, Shelby Valley on this one.
There you go. And finally, Pike Central, the Hawks travel to Sheldon Clark. The Cardinals still winless. Pike Central goes in 4-3, and the high-flying Hawks get the win at the Rock.
Sheldon Clark's woes continue. It's all Pike Central in this one, guys.
I got a text from Todd Justice. He told me today, he says, keep picking against us because every time you do, we win.
Yes.
But I'll let you slide this week. So I will pick Pike Central.
Yeah, Pike Central definitely.
Yeah, they sew up at least a home field
Yeah.
playoff
Yeah,
game.
good point.
Says they'll beat Sheldon Clark.
Indeed. These guys don't understand how tough it is to pick these games. They really don't. In games like Pike Central and Lawrence County last week, and we saw it was a tremendous game. Could have swung either way with a turnover, penalty, whatever you have. So a lot of
Hey,
these,
they're welcome to join us.
Absolutely.
They can jump in there and pick them
Yes,
off.
they can.
make your picks as well. EKB Appalachian Wireless Pick'em Contest. Go to WDHR.com or ESPNPikeville.com. Click on the Pick'em logo. Regardless, we're 8 weeks in. You can still be a part of this contest. You can still win the end of the season grand prize. Every week, someone wins a $25 gift card to Appalachian Wireless, and at the end of the season, someone will win, by random drawing, a $250 gift card to Appalachian Wireless. You can do some big boy things. Smartphone, pay for a couple months service, maybe change your plan. You can do some things with a gift card of $250 for Appalachian Wireless. We encourage you to play along with us. Jeremy Bell leading currently. He's led from the start. Is it a pole-to-pole win for Jeremy Bell? We'll see. Most of the sports guys hanging right around 72, 75% accuracy. It's not bad, guys.
Not too bad. But how about Randall Clark? He's won it twice now
Wow.
this season. He was our winner this week.
This weekend, I believe Randall Clark 14 of 15
Yeah.
Wow.
in his
Whoa.
picks, and he was closest in the
He
tiebreaker.
didn't get the text from Marty either. Well, he would have been perfect.
And that's the reason I don't share those picks publicly until the polls have closed prior to the game. By the way, one of our games, Thursday night game, the polls open there till 6:15. The Friday matchups open till 7:15, and then the college game on Saturday, the poll will be open until 1:15 to make your picks. Go there, register, make your selections, click submit, and play along with us. We have a good time doing it, and none of us claim to be perfect, and the only one that claims to be Jimmy the Greek is Joe Kinzer. And reminding you, the Sports Guys Daily starts tomorrow. You can tune in to ESPN Radio, 95.9, 104.5, and 102.5 FM. The Sports Guys Daily, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m., as we talk about daily topics from the world of sports. You don't want to miss it tomorrow, the debut edition of the Sports Guys Daily. Guys, time to wrap things up, go to closing comments, but I want to go around the horn before we do so that I don't tie anyone to a particular subject, like the KHSAA Commissioner's directive last week, which that directive went to the member schools and said basically post-game handshakes are out unless you monitor them. And if you monitor them, they must be reported if there are unsportsmanlike acts, and they will be penalized. Then there was backwater. A lot of the schools, some of the media got a hold of it. The national media got a hold of the story and said, what? Kentucky is against sportsmanship. Post-game handshakes are all about sportsmanship. Guys, your chance to comment.
Well, when I first came out, when I saw the story, I thought it was ludicrous that Mr. Tackett would come out and say something like that. But after reading the fine print, I guess you would say, he meant that they're not responsible
Right.
for these handshakes, and I can see that, but I think there are greater concerns than worrying about a post-game handshake from the commissioner. There's a lot bigger fish to fry in the pond, I guess you would say. And I totally disagree with it. I think it was bad timing. It got us bad publicity, and we don't need any more bad publicity in this area than we already got.
Right.
So, my note to Mr. Julian Tackett is, be careful what you say and worry about other things besides a post-game handshake, which I think is very important to do, and I think it is a show of sportsmanship that is desperately needed.
Do you
especially-
truly believe it was simply misworded? Or do you believe?
I think it was another one of those CYAs, and that's the terminology I'm going to use safely.
Right.
I think it's a CIA when something actually happens. Now, Jamie and I talked about this in length.
Okay.
I think the only time that you shouldn't have a handshake.
Do you not feel like the initial directive was there are no post-game handshakes, we will not authorize them?
That's what I read
Yes.
initially.
I think
Yes.
that was the initial
Yes,
directive.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
don't
you.
think it was misworded.
Thank
I
you.
think that was the stance. And when the national media, when the statewide media, the Courier-Journal, the Lexington Herald, and all local media came down on this, I think they took backwater.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
said,
now-
whoa, let's back off this. Number one, who gives the commissioner the right to make a directive without the delegate's approval? Okay, I understand he makes decisions on suspensions and those things. That's his job. But under the Constitution of the KHSAA, who allows the commissioner without delegate approval to make those type of decisions? And Julian Tackett and I are friends. Julian Tackett and I have officiated together. I can call Julian Tackett right now. I've interviewed Julian Tackett after the state tournament. We've spent time. I consider him a friend, and I think he does me. But I disagree with him. We've talked about this since last week, and he continues with the statement it was misworded. I don't
Right.
think so.
Well, like I said, when I went to talk about the fine print, I think the fine print was him trying to backtrack on some of the stuff that he said. Now, listen,
And not
I'm
with the
with
first.
you.
I'm not talking about
The first memo is what?
the first
no,
memo.
I'm sorry. Okay, then I'm
Okay,
sorry. Then.
yeah, the next day.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. He was totally in the wrong.
Yeah, the next day it was covering your tail.
Right.
And it
Right,
was
I'm sorry.
allowing the schools to authorize it, but you're going to monitor it. I
Absolutely.
think the first directive that came out on Tuesday, absolutely, is we're outlawing post-game handshakes.
Right. So I looked at it as if the teams were like the officials. Soon as the game's over, go to the locker room. But
Yeah.
it's over. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, to your point, I misunderstood the question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
think the schools
That's right.
misunderstood too, and I'm not sure it was a miscommunication. That was the way it was intended originally, and I think he backed off the statement after the national media got hold of it.
I'm upset because Julian Tackett tried to rewrite Merriam-Webster's dictionary for the meaning of directive. I'm with you. Look it up online. Look it up in a dictionary. Examples of the word directive. They received a written directive instructing them to develop new security measures. That's a sentence.
Yes.
What does that mean? Find a new way to do your job.
Right.
Okay? Here's another. The company president regularly issues directives intended for all staff members. What does that mean? This is a new ruling
Right.
for everyone else. Now, I
Yes.
know he called it a suggestion, a
Yes.
strongly worded suggestion
Yes.
in the second rewrite, right?
Yes.
The third rewrite said, well, it's a prescription.
Uh-huh.
Now, okay, listen, he backpedaled.
Yes.
He went backwards. He walked backwards for so long that he forgot how to walk forward for a little while.
Right.
Okay, he took a lot of heat in this, and I took umbrage with somebody else saying that, well, he handled it quite well, putting it on himself. Well, if he had used common sense, we would have never had this discussion right now because
Right.
we have been to hundreds of games. Number one, it's not a written rule to do the post-game handshake.
Right.
And I think most of us knew that.
Sure.
We have been to games where we have seen a coach not let his team go through it because
Exactly.
the contest was so heated.
Right.
Because something happened. You're in a tightly confounded gym. tempers are going to flare, go to the locker room or send their team to the locker room because
Yes.
of maybe the coach had something to do with the officials and didn't like the call and he's on the road.
Right.
Okay? We've seen that happen, and
Sure.
I've never had a problem with that.
Right.
And
And-
I
and
think
it's-
that's just common sense.
and
Let
it's-
common sense rule.
And it's not being unsportsmanlike when that happens. I think it is just common
You're
sense.
being smart.
Being preventive.
Yes.
Yeah.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Sure.
This is not prevention. This is liability.
Yeah.
This is the argument that nobody wants to talk about.
Yep.
You know, in Utah, there was a youth soccer coach who died because a 17-year-old player beat the official up. I looked this up.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about.
Sure.
Talking about a lawsuit. Because if you read the fine print, Jeremy, if you read the fine print, guys, it says the school and the administration is responsible for what happens. And by the way, if you can't monitor this, this is in every rewrite.
Yes.
If you can't monitor this, you will be fined. The fine is $1,000. I don't know
Right.
if that was ever spelled out, but it is a $1,000 fine after
Right.
doing some more research.
Uh-huh.
But we're not going to be held responsible.
Exactly.
That is scapegoat leadership.
Sure.
And it's in all of its glory.
Yeah.
And I've never been so disappointed in one stupid lack of common sense ruling than
Yeah.
what happened with Julian
I
Taylor.
agree. And we are not pointing blame at the officials. The officials are instructed to leave the floor, leave
Yes.
the field as soon as the game is over.
right. Yes.
So we don't want it to fall onto the officials to have to monitor this either. We were not saying that. But we're saying, get out of the way.
Talk
Let
to-
the kids shake hands, and somebody's got to have common sense in our school system.
As for the officials, I talked to two officials, and one said, you know, we've always took off, went to the locker room at the end of the game. That's the way we've always been told.
Right.
Another one said, we go, you know, if it's a close game, you're out of there.
Yep.
It's just, we know, you never secure the game ball
Right.
and make sure the books are checked and all this stuff.
Right.
That never happens. Another official told me, though, said, you know, at a volleyball game, when I'm at the line judge at the end of it, I do this move, and on TV you might be able to see this. Let's come together and shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
And this official would sit and make sure that everyone did that. He didn't know he wasn't supposed to do that anymore.
Right.
He thought he was doing the right thing, but just
Sure.
making sure that things are good.
Yeah.
Common sense. Let common sense. We don't need to have a sanctioning body trying to govern us anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Or we'll govern you, we'll fine you, but you can't sue us. We're not responsible. That's what that was
That's
all
what
about.
it's all about. It's all about legalism. Jim Williamson.
I mean, I agree.
Thoughts
I
on
think
this?
When it first came out, obviously that's what it said. Do not shake hands.
Yes.
And the whole point I thought of sports, you compete hard, but at the end, you're supposed to be teaching these young kids sportsmanship.
Right.
How you learn how to lose as well as win. And of course, in today's society, everybody gets a trophy, so it doesn't matter. But way overblown on their reaction, and of course, a week later, here we are still talking about it.
And then he also went back. He told the Bowling Green Daily News, said that 5,000 fish or 5,000 salmon swam upstream before anyone realized what was going on
Yes.
because they didn't read the entire memo, and blamed social media, blamed veteran members of the media, didn't name them in particular,
Right.
that they got it wrong in the first one. They did not get the definition of the word directive wrong,
Right.
and he even came on our airwaves and kind of chuckled about it and didn't really was not serious about it. That's not, he's still not taking responsibility that he made a terrible and grave mistake
Right.
in those comments, and still wants to say, ain't my fault.
Yeah. Well, but he did say that it gave him a little bit of a black eye. Did make that comment. Frosty Davis, we've got to wrap.
Gave him a big black eye, but here's my problem with it. Where's this stuff coming from? I mean, and I've seen a lot of ball games, and how many problems have we seen in the handshake? The only time I've ever seen a problem in forever, me and you we were in it. And that was 37 years
Well,
ago.
what does that say about things? 1978?
I mean, heck, I've seen a few games lately that if somebody hits somebody in the handshake line, it's the first time all night anybody got hit.
Yeah.
This isn't a problem, But it is. It's all about liability. But what about the two officials? We could be the other state where the two officials got arrested
Right.
at a high school football game because they tried to. They were having problems with the crowd behind the chain gang, and the chain gang was telling them to have the crowd moved, and the police were over there, and they say, "Hey, we got control." One of the officials tried to eject a policeman from the game. Wrong thing to do
Yeah.
because two officials, they were taken to jail during the game.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see who was wearing the white hat.
The
because
shame
they
about
don't let you wear your
the
hats
shame
and
about
your
most
headshot.
of this is that it's mostly adults and not kids.
It's all about
Exactly.
the kids, and let's keep it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's supposed to be about the kids, but it's the adults that are causing a lot of these problems.
It's all about the lawyers, folks.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's all about the KHSAA trying to cover their tail and avoid liability in the future. Julian Tackett said, we have had somewhere around 24 incidents over the last 2 years. Do you understand how many events take place that are KHSAA sanctioned in the course of a year? Nearly 10,000.
Yeah.
And I'd say that
Less
definition of
than
incident is broad.
24 incidents, which is very broad. Incident could be anything.
Right.
Over 20,000 games tells me it's not that big of a problem.
Yeah.
And it's simply trying to avoid liability from those 24 incidents. I'm sorry, you're going to have incidents. School administrators, I guess, monitor the line. We're going to line up. We're going to have a post-game handshake. But let me also say, before we go to final comments, sportsmanship is not about a post-game handshake. Sportsmanship starts when teams walk onto the field to warm up. And you can tell a team that displays good sportsmanship from the time the game starts, the way that game's played. It's not about who shakes hands better at the end and pats the other team on the back. You can have guys that are the worst sportsmanship during the course of a game. They'll shake hands and pat you on the back and tell you how great you are after the game. Sportsmanship starts when teams walk on the field pregame, not when it's over in a postgame handshake. My thoughts on that. Jeremy Bell, final comments.
Hey, talking about legal issues going back to the NFL, and for the first time in years, I'm so glued to Major League Baseball. It's taken over the NFL. I mean, I'm just so glued on the baseball playoffs, and what I saw yesterday just kind of sums up why I'm watching baseball. Our beloved Randall Cobb gets his leg broke 6 to 8 weeks. Why? Because a rookie player who's making very little wage compared to some other players, goes low on a hit instead of high. And look what happens. Cobb breaks his leg. The NFL, it's become a flag football. And you mentioned me coaching flag football. That's what it's turned into. And it's almost becoming a joke. And it's taken my interest in the NFL away from all this stuff that's going on. So the commissioner, Roger Goodell, has got a big problem on his hands. He's got to get this settled sooner. We're going to lose a lot of fans in the NFL.
I think you're right. Jamie Johnson.
Folks, start these high school contests with a prayer and end them in a handshake. That's all I got to say.
Amen.
That's all I got to say.
I don't know how to top that, but I agree with you. We are headed to flag football. It's coming, and I agree with Jeremy on that. But forget the sportsmanship issues and everything we've argued about. Come out, community people, support your local kids.
Yep.
Playing, get behind them, bring your headsets to the game, listen to the radio. But
Sure.
come out and support these high school kids.
There you go, Frosty Davis.
My oldest son, Welch, he was a pretty good wrestler and qualified for the state tournament 3 years in a row. And wrestlers are required to shake hands at the end of the match. And I don't know if y'all ever watched a wrestling match. You talk about intense.
Sure.
It's mono el mono. Just one guy against one guy, and they go at it. I mean, they go at it hard for 3-minute rounds. But every single match I ever saw, win or lose, they shook hands.
Sure.
And it was done. And they were sitting over there 10 minutes later talking. So keep it about the kids. That's what it's about. And I think the problems come more so from us, the parents,
Right.
this generation. And just keep the sporting bit about the kids. Go support the kids and keep it about them and keep the bad sportsmanship out of it.
Yeah, there you go. It is about the kids, moms, dads, grandfathers, uncles, aunts, grannies, all of you. If you're not in uniform, get out of the way.
Yeah.
Let the kids do what the kids are supposed to do. Enjoy the sports, learn the life lessons that the sports present, and maybe start teaching sportsmanship at home and stop waiting for coaches to do it. Coaches do a tremendous job on most occasions, but it all begins at home. Jamie Johnson, I like your statement.
Yep.
Start each game with a prayer. In schools that don't have a pregame prayer, shame on you. And let's stop worrying about postgame handshakes. Maybe if more schools went back to pregame prayers instead of being scared of legal issues, you wouldn't have to worry about sportsmanship.
Yeah. I'm 100 miles away from the KHSAA office in Lexington. give me a call on Saturday morning or Monday after it's over with. I mean, just do it. You're in your own hometown. It's your community. It's about you. Stand up and do what you believe in.
There you go. The Sports Guys, presented by Appalachian Wireless. Be sure and tune in Mondays through Friday on ESPN Radio, 95.9, 104.5, and 102.5 FM. The Sports Guys Daily. Our debut show coming up on Tuesday, October 15th. For Jeremy Bell, Jamie Johnson, Jim Williamson, Frosty Davis, I'm Andrew Joyce. For all the guys back behind the scenes at Pike TV and EKB Sports, good evening, everyone.